Welcome to Colorado Soul Stories, showcasing changemakers and creatives, past and present, who have helped to make Colorado not just a pretty place to behold, but a soulful place to be. I'm your host, Mama Jill, longtime Colorado resident, former teacher, and freelance journalist. Let's get started with our next episode. Hi, Mama Jill here, and I'm very excited to be hosting my next guests in Salida, Colorado, Coleman Smith and Robin Vega. They are a dynamic duo of a couple. Together they run the Coletrain Music Academy in Buena Vista, which is a wonderful music school for string instruments, which serves anyone from about the age of 3 to about as old as you want to try to play an instrument, which I think is super cool. We're going to discuss their evolution and journey in developing the Music Academy here in Colorado. They are both from Texas and have a lovely meet cute story that we will hear. And I'm very excited to hear Coleman's journey as the amazing violin and fiddle player that he is. The first time I heard him, I was at a place called River Runners, right by the Arkansas River. It was raining. My friends and I, we call ourselves the Salida Music Family, gathered together under a tarp and got to hear this band, and Coleman's fiddle playing just blew me away, and I have tried to catch up with him and hear him play whenever I can and whatever band he is playing with. So come along and listen to my lovely discussion with Coleman Smith and Robin Vega. Hey there, welcome to Colorado Soul Stories. I'm here with Coleman Smith and Robin Vega of Buena Vista, and very well known for the Coletrain Music Academy, among many other things. And welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. From Texas?
Yep, from Texas, Dallas. Okay. I'm an inner city Dallas kid.
So you were the city kid, city mouse, and you were kind of the country mouse.
Country boy, yeah. I grew up in rural Texas in Wise County. A lot of people know Fort Worth and Denton, but I grew up in a little town called Chico, Texas.
When you talk about it, maybe I hear a little bit of Texan.
It comes out for some reason.
There. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's normal, right? Yeah. I look forward to different accents. So, did you guys go to the same college? No. Okay. I need to hear how you met.
We met in BV, actually. We met about 8 years ago. We moved about 8 years ago to BV, but our parents live about an hour and a half away from each other. So
holidays are great.
It makes it easy when we go home to travel. But we didn't meet at home, at our home state. So we met
saw
here.
each other from afar, and then had the privilege of meeting firsthand at a Rapids and Grass beer festival that used to happen downtown South Main,
which is actually happening
Buena
this
Vista.
weekend. It's happening this weekend.
Oh, fun.
The kind of quick story is I was going to a Widespread Panic concert at Red Rocks, and my ticket ended up being bogus when I got to the...
Oh, no.
I bought it in the parking lot.
Conveniently for me. Not for her at the time, but now in hindsight, I'm like, yes, that scalper I owe him.
I bought it in the parking lot. When I got to the front with all my friends, mine didn't work. And I'd already had my heart set on live music for the night, so I Googled live music near me and saw Trout Steak Revival, which is a band I still love so much. They were playing at this festival in Idaho Springs, and so I was not too far from there, so I was by myself, but I just went on to that festival.
You went by yourself?
I did.
How cool.
And it ended up being Rapid and Grass Festival, and I got to catch Trout Steak, and then Rapid Grass came out, and I had never seen the band before, and I loved them, and distinctly remember the fiddle player.
I just want to clarify something. Actually, what you're talking about is the Rapid Grass Music Festival.
What did I
I
call it?
mentioned was the Rapids and Grass Beer Festival, where we met.
Oh.
And actually, this weekend coming up is the Rapid Grass Music Festival in Idaho Springs.
And it's-
So
Sorry, that's what I. Yeah,
you
that's
should
there's
be
some
there for your
full
anniversary.
circle
That's what
things
I know.
happening right now.
If we weren't working this weekend, we would be there. But anyway, so I went to that festival, saw Coleman playing, and then bought a CD and listened to Rapid Grass over and over and over in my car. And then a few weeks later,
She really liked the mandolin player.
I loved
Sounds
all
like
of
Sarah's interview.
Yeah, I loved everybody. And then, a few weeks later, I went with my girlfriends to the Rapid and Grass Beer Festival in
That's
BV.
the one I was talking about in downtown BV.
Which
Absolutely.
it was a lovely festival. COVID kind of killed it, I think.
So wait, what year was this?
That was 2018.
Oh, it's
Maybe
been
20
ruined since.
Maybe,
I mean,
it's
a
maybe
lot of-
2017. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was so awesome. It was like 50 beer vendors and music. And anyway, I went with my girlfriends, and then Rapid Grass came out and played. And I said, oh my gosh, y'all, this is the band we listened to on the way up here. This is the one I saw a few weeks ago. And then after,
And it was funny. I mentioned to the guys in the band while I was on stage, and I was like, that's the beautiful woman I saw a few weeks ago. And I said, this is my
recognized me.
chance to actually introduce myself.
I'm getting chills.
And
So
I was like, maybe lightning does strike twice, but in this case, I actually, I was a little bit more swift on my feet to say hello.
met in person there, but he recognized me and said, I saw you a few weeks ago at my other festival. I
did
was
you see
playing."
her in the audience?
Well, in her defense, I saw her in the audience, and then she was able to sneak backstage. So I saw her backstage.
In Idaho
but
Springs, yeah.
She was mingling with some folks, and I just, I was sort of doing my own festival duties and jamming and playing some late night music. And
So we
then
didn't actually meet
when
there.
when I saw her again, I said,
In BV, we actually got to talk, and he hopped off the stage after his performance and said, I recognize
believe
you
I
from
recognize
You know, that's
Idaho
like
Springs."
a groupie's dream
It was
come
so
true.
sweet. And we were all going to this really cool place that's no longer here. It was called the Green Parrot. And we all went to the Green Parrot and, had
and
some
then
whiskey.
wound up
and
at
it was
the
fun.
Lariat for the late night.
We did, that's right.
dancing
It was
and
Hazel
having-
Miller.
It was.
Lovely Hazy Miller was performing.
I mean, if you can't get down to that band, what can you do?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
So anyway, the rest is history. We've been
That's a good story,
Yeah,
you
we've been
guys.
stuck together ever
and
since.
we didn't say maybe on air that it's their wedding anniversary.
Today's our wedding
Today's our
anniversary.
wedding anniversary. 4
So,
years
4
today.
years. Okay.
Yes,
Congratulations.
time flies, but
Gosh.
yeah. So this is a lovely way to spend our anniversary. We'll never forget.
We're archiving.
our fourth.
That's it.
Our
We've been
fourth
using
anniversary.
that word a lot about some of the subjects we've talked about and people I've talked to and important subjects we're all talking about, which moves into that kind of connection that you guys have that I feel like a lot of the people I've talked to have had. And as you go and listen to maybe some other of the podcasts of local people, different forms that art can take to be activism and a positive, clearly a positive force in anybody's life. And not only with the academy. Now, how long has that been around?
Well, Coleman has been teaching for over 20 years.
Just prior and throughout my college career, I started teaching. And then while I was in college, I started conducting youth symphonies at the college level. And then the moment I graduated, I started working in a couple of schools, teaching private lessons. And that sort of was at the same time I was starting to travel to perform.
Okay.
And I saw that there was a crossroad I had to make. Either I could be a teacher for somebody else, or I could be a full-time musician and start to teach under my own
your
name.
own
And that's
thing.
sort of the path I went
Okay.
shortly after graduating. And then that was in Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania. And then I moved back to Texas, started teaching in partnership at a studio there in Decatur, Texas. And that's where I was at when Robin and I met. I wasn't even living in Colorado yet.
Oh.
And my school was in Decatur, Texas.
Yeah. So
Under a different name. but
Gotcha.
Coleman Smith. Yeah, I'd say we rebranded to Coletrain Music Academy in 2017. I think, officially on paper, but he's had his teaching
Yes.
studio for a long time.
Well, that was one of the first things that Robin helped me with, and that's also one of the first times I saw her genius come to light. Is she's like, "Oh, tell me more about your music school." And at the time, I was also starting the first ever youth symphony in Wise County, Texas, where I grew up. It was very rural, and there's just not a whole lot of room for the fine arts in the school system. It's mostly Friday night lights, and they love their sports, and that's sort of the communal aspect. But at the time, she's like, let me see your website. I'm like, website? What are you talking
good job,
about?
Robin.
And Robin's like, this is my wheelhouse. And that's sort of where the Coletrain Music Academy branding started. It was sort of Robin's vision of seeing what I offer with her ability to market it and brand it. And that's really where Coletrain started.
And as soon as I heard someone, I was on the road with y'all, and I heard someone call you Coletrain.
That was probably Alex
Okay.
Johnstone. I blame Alex for a lot of things that are very positive in my life, and it's probably one of them.
Yeah, and I thought,
Former
that's
bandmate and mandolin
cool,
extraordinaire.
Oh
in
yeah, we love
Applegrass.
him.
Yeah, I thought that's a cool
So
name.
he just came up. He just said that once.
It's well, it was a nickname. He's had
When
it.
I was in college, my musical mentor actually is my cousin, my older cousin, Doug Smith. And he is an exceptional jazz bass player, but also ran a music booking agency. And so it was sort of the best practical application going to school for music in different aspects, both classical education and jazz studies, and then having just a well of resource, not only with gigs, but mentorship and things like that. I got the name Coletrain just being around the jazz circle. A lot of people.
Oh, right. I thought about that earlier today.
It was funny. My cousin Doug started, it was Coleman, and then, he's real laid back, and it was like Cole, and then Cole was too much, so then it like simmered down to just Cole. What's up, Cole? And then a lot of the other, so what's up, Coletrain, so that's where it started.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, you spelled it wrong," because John Coltrane, the famous musician, and so yeah, we just say,
It's his own
it's
iteration.
It's a spin on that, and then Coleman's nickname. So yeah, I could see the branding, and I just thought, gosh, the world, as many people as possible need to hear Coleman play, and then be exposed to this type of education. And his heart has always been teaching in rural areas, because that's where he grew up, and his parents would drive, gosh, you said like two hours each way to different
to get you to your
lessons.
It was an amazing feat and sacrifice on both of their parts. Growing
Which is
up
lovely.
in rural Texas, not having music in the public school, I actually chose to be homeschooled because of my affinity for the violin at a very early age. And their cultivation, one day of the week they'd drive an hour and a half to Dallas. I'd have a fiddle lesson. And another day of the week they'd drive an hour and 10 minutes into Fort Worth, and I'd have a classical private lesson, followed by a group sectional, followed by a youth orchestra.
Wow.
And then another day of the week, maybe I'd travel and have a swing lesson. And it was with all different teachers, and it was basically a very broad approach to music and an immersive approach from a very young age. But the sacrifice and the amount of time that my parents drove, I just don't understand it and can't comprehend it. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves with here at Coletrain, is the fact that if you do want to learn fiddle, if you do want to learn swing, if you do want to learn rock and roll, if you do want to learn classical, you don't have to drive to 4 different teachers to do that. You can come to one world-class educational component right here in Chaffee County, and hopefully save a little time and stress on your parents and that sort of thing. And
then if you're
get right
not
to it.
if you're not in this area, that's why we knew I knew early on you have to have an online presence so we can
I saw
reach more
that.
people. Yeah, so we have
You've got it all.
we have e-lessons now, so these
We're working
on
on it.
demand on demand lessons. Coleman does some teaching abroad from India to Europe.
Nepal, all over Europe.
And this was a cool way to, when he leaves workshops from teaching students there, having a place online for them to go and continue to get education from them.
Continuing education and inspiration, as well as, there's only one of me, and I can only currently teach so many private students. And the more e-lessons that I'm able to create over the course of the next couple of years, I think the more broader reach we'll have on like-minded individuals that, are interested in the services that we offer here at Coletrain Music Academy.
So are some of those like recorded? Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the kids can, the internet has changed everything
And
that way.
it's Coleman teaching, and then some of our other teachers also teaching. So you're getting professional education, even if you don't live in this area. And then we have lots of adults that just can't commit to weekly lessons. They are traveling a lot. And so they can just get on and get an on-demand lesson and just, go at their own pace.
Yeah, the e-lessons are wonderful because they're designed to support both styles or the two main styles of music learning, which is the written language as well as the oral tradition, learning by ear. Yeah. So each lesson is kind of broke down in different sort of chapters. You'll work on the scale, the chords, the melody, but you'll also be supplied with the sheet music. So if you're better at reading and playing along, that's supportive. If you're better at listening and working towards memorization that way, it's sort of written into the program, and each lesson culminates with a jam-along track. So not only do you learn the proper way to approach music, whether you're learning by the written language or by ear or a combination, but at the end, the payoff is you get to jam with the band. So it's a real-world application of the lesson. And one of the other beauties with the e-lesson is you can rinse and repeat that lesson as much as you want, where the benefit of that is longevity. And in one-on-one, we can do that each week. But, one of the benefits of e-lesson is you can watch that chapter or that lesson over and over until it really works.
Ideas. So I did look through the different ways that you teach, and I was a teacher for 30 years. I got some very unusual training, so I was very happy to see that you had all these different methods. I want to go back and just say your parents drove you around as a parent. It was different things I drove my son around for, but love. And when you see that your kid wants to do it and it has this skill, clearly they saw it. Did you have siblings?
I do. I have an older brother as well. But, I think I would attribute my early affinity to music because of my mother's profession. She is a ballerina. And, she went to a full ride for TCU with ballet as her principal focus and major, and then worked under the Fort Worth Ballet, and then started her own dance company as well. So she has her own dance school and has sort of been the hub for the arts in Wise County, Texas for the last 40 plus years. So even though I wasn't exposed to jam sessions in my home per se, every day I was exposed to my mother doing choreography, and it would be one day she would be doing choreography to classical works, then maybe the next day she'd be doing clogging to country music.
So you saw that variety.
And then the next day it might be jazz. So she had a very eclectic approach to her dance and appreciated that. So I feel as though the reason why I gravitated towards the violin is I grew up hearing it, but the real intersection where it made sense to me, and that was the instrument I wanted to choose, was when I saw it in real life. We just happened to be around a fiddle contest when I was real young, and I was like, that's it.
He was 3.
Wow.
Yeah,
I heard you were 3. So, okay, you said, I want to do this at 3.
That's it.
And they got you one.
That's amazing.
And not just I want to do it. His mom says obsessed. He was obsessed from the age of 3 with the violin. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, you can tell. With all due
He's
respect,
still obsessed
all
with the violin.
Yonder Mountain String Band.
Yonder Mountain, which I love also.
I have the honor of playing in that band now.
Absolutely. But so I went to band when I was a kid, flute, went all the way through high school. I was very good, worked very hard, but it was one way. down the highway. There was no playing by ear or learning. I love that you talk about ear training and blending in with others and nonverbal. I didn't get any of that, which now when I look back at all that hard work I did, that I would love to kind of transition into playing some jazz or bluegrass myself or something.
Certainly.
I need some lessons, but
Well, you should check out, did you say flute?
yeah.
Well, you should check out the band Twisted Pine. I can't remember the young lady's name, but they have a flautist in the band who is stellar.
I think I've heard or seen
I'm
her.
ashamed I can't remember her name offhand, but check out Twisted
Yeah,
Pine.
I
If you're
will.
into flute and
Yeah.
how it can seamlessly be integrated into a modern approach for bluegrass, it would be Twisted Pine. It's magnificent.
As I got older, I didn't like it. I was like, it's not cool.
Sure,
But
sure.
as an adult, in embracing jazz, and in my 20s, I heard it in a different
We
way.
all love Ron Burgundy when he
Right.
pulls the flute out of his sleeve and Anchorman. There's nothing better.
Right?
Little jazz flute never hurt anybody. There's 3 instruments that they sort of use as examples as the closest approximation to the human voice. And that would be the flute, the violin, or the clarinet. Because of the way you can bend the notes on a flute and the way you can bend the notes on the clarinet and the warmness of those tones. And same thing, the no frets on the fiddle, right? We can move in between tones.
I
Those are
remember-
the closest to mimicking the human
Neat.
voice. But we read the same clef or have a relative pitch range that is the
That
same.
makes me think of Peter and the Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
We listened to that when I was a kid.
Prokofiev,
And
right?
Yeah. And using those instruments.
Different creatures.
Animals
Yeah,
and-
absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are magnetic. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that, Robin, you started your entrepreneurship like starting in college, it sounds like. What would you call your field? Communications, marketing?
I would say the common denominator of all the different hats I wear is storytelling
You're right.
through just different mediums, and that's why I was drawn to your podcast, because I loved the title, the headline.
thank you.
I'm a sucker for any kind of packaging, and that it's like Colorado Soul Stories. I loved the name,
It just came out of my heart.
and so yeah, just storytelling in different mediums, from whether it's web development or graphic design,
Okay.
writing. So storytelling.
Yeah. So when you guys met, clearly, we already kind of talked about that. You kind of moved into that, like helping.
Where is your website?
Yeah.
Well, I feel as though my strengths lie within certain parameters of my musicality, whether it's education or performance or helping people reach their goals with music. Like, those are my forte.
Yeah,
but
of course.
talking about myself, designing a website,
Sure.
or being able to step outside of the role of teacher or musician is quite difficult for some creators sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
And to have a genius pair of eyes
Go
and an
on.
outside oh god and an outside
on.
approach. Like, I remember when we sat down for the first time and Robin showed me the Coletrain website as it was in the inception, I got teary-eyed because I'd never sat down and quantified what I was trying to do, and seeing it through the eyes of a designer was a big step forward, not only for myself, but definitely for the brand.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful website.
Thank
I will
you.
say. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'd say, yeah, storytelling becomes really easy for me when I really respect the human behind the brand. It becomes just very easy for me to help tell their story. And it's my pleasure to do it, And I think it's hard for really anyone to write about themselves. It's much easier to have someone else help you kind of package that together. What does that look like? And I would say, most clients that I work with, as Coleman said, it made him teary-eyed when he saw it. If I can make a client cry, I mean, it's not my
In a good
goal. It's not my
Right.
goal, but it brings
Why
me.
did you do that?
It brings me
Not that way.
it brings me so much joy when a client says, "That's it." Like, that's been in my head, and I could cry, or maybe they do shed a little tear to see it birthed and like kind of brought into real life. That's when that
Very
makes my
sad.
heart
Well, then you get
super
so
happy.
excited to share that with other people, you
Yeah.
know, where it's like, yeah, I knew the value of what I was trying to accomplish with my school and try to save a lot of travel and extra expenses for my clientele, so it would be a one-stop shop. But you know, when you see that product in a website or in print or something, it's a different feeling of elation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then lately, with the projects I'm involved with now, the common denominator is community. It's like rooted. These are all projects that are deeply rooted in this community that we love. Even though I'm wearing a few different hats, it flows very seamlessly because the intention is just kind of community based, which is really cool. Whether it's music or, you know, innovation, entrepreneurial.
Yeah, small businesses. So
Yeah.
are you work with the Central Mountain Entrepreneurs? Is that still?
Yes, the Ascent Accelerator. It's a arm of the EDC, and it's a passion.
Seems really cool. I was
yeah,
telling somebody
passion
about it this
project.
morning that might need to apply for some help.
Do
you know?
it.
Yeah.
Do it. It's incredible. I work with an incredible team of humans, and helping people start up is just my jam. Like getting a domain, what is the name of it? You know, from inception. And then the Ascent, we work with a variety of entrepreneurs, whether you're in kind of dream idea phase or you're a few years into your business and maybe you're launching a new product or a new arm, or maybe you're seasoned and you're looking to get into an acquisition.
Wow.
So kind of these different phases, and it's a 12-week program.
Oh.
You apply. Applications I just opened yesterday, actually.
Wow.
So you can apply, and then if you're accepted into the program, then you do a 12-week, every other week program in Salida, or you can do virtual if you need to. And there's a few events that it culminates with. So there's a really awesome event called Powder Pitch, where we match mentors and investors with entrepreneurs.
Cool.
And so we pair you together. You're on a cat ski or on a ski lift together. It's just a little less structured and scary than just being in a boardroom together. You're at Monarch
like
Mountain.
that. It's
Yeah,
more
you're at Monarch
organic.
Mountain, you know,
Yeah.
doing runs together, and then
Boardrooms are
having a pint.
sterile and not inspiring.
It's just a super like Colorado way of running this accelerator, and it's pretty amazing that we have that many entrepreneurs in Chaffee County that we had to create an accelerator.
A few years ago, actually, Coletrain Music Academy was a part of the
We're an
cohort
alum.
in the accelerator program. And the reason why we were chosen was because of the e-lesson platform that we were trying to get out there. And, you know, the information that we learned was so valuable about, you know, the product having legs and the scalability of it and the connectability of just who you meet in the cohort itself was a truly impressive and just inspiring thing to be a part of.
very cool.
Yeah, so much so that I
Very
decided to
important
go
for
work for
small
them after.
businesses in
I
Chaffee
see.
County,
Yeah.
and just an amazing learning tool to see value in your company, but also find ways of expanding.
Yeah, and I like that, again, kind of a community connections, not just saying networking, but creating relationships that you can support each other. and-
Absolutely. I mean, and never did I ever think, you know, coming from first Dallas to Denver and Boulder, did I ever think I would move to this tiny little
Right.
town and be involved in an accelerator?
So is that what brought you to BV?
Well, Coleman brought me to be.
Okay. I didn't
Fell in
know.
love with the fiddle
So
player.
were you already living there?
No, when
got here
Robin and I met, I was still living in Wise County, Texas.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I was in
And
Denver.
I was working very hard to relocate to. I had my heart set on Buena Vista.
And I need to know why.
why?
How'd you even know about Buena Vista?
You know, through performing with Rapid Grass.
You were already doing that. Okay.
I was sort of the weekend warrior out of the group. Everybody else was located in Colorado, but
How
I
did
was
you
in.
meet them?
Oh, I was actually a founding member of the band Rapid Grass.
Okay.
Probably about 16 years ago, I was doing a lot of international travel with a band called Hickory Project. And the leader of that group, Anthony Hennigan, lived in Pennsylvania, and I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. And he worked for a software company in Golden, Colorado, and would come to Golden and would go to local jams. And that's where he met Mark Morris. And at the tail end of my time with the band Hickory Project, Mark was starting to moonlight and then eventually joined the band. And through our kindred musicianship and our friendship, we were like, okay, this band is really good. Hickory Project is really good, but maybe we would have more fun if we had our own band. And that's sort of where the inception, there were a few different names, and then Mark Morris, the lead singer and guitar player for Rapid Grass, and his family started a festival, and that's sort of how it all came about. But yeah, I was living in Texas and teaching through the week, so I would teach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, but I would catch the red eye Friday morning or Thursday night.
For like
fly
10 years.
For
he
10
did this.
years.
Wow.
So I worked 7 days a week and had no free time, and was trying to build the brand in Texas and build the brand in Colorado and travel internationally with the band. It got to be a little bit much. During that time, when Rapid Grass became more popular in Colorado, we started to do more town events, and we met Jed Selby. And through that relationship, kept coming back to Buena Vista, whether it was for a beach concert series, actually before Rapid Grass was even really Rapid Grass, I think. We played the very first beach party. And then
Didn't you say there wasn't a stage yet?
Oh,
you said you played
we
on
played
a
on
pallet.
pallets next to an open fire
That was
pit.
still
It
kind
was
of developing over there.
Oh, I think it was the Eddy line. There definitely wasn't much there.
So even though you weren't living here yet, you were kind of part of the
He was
part of the
coming to
community
Yeah,
already.
well, there were a lot of firsts that we had developed through our partnership, with knowing the Selby family. Like, we got to kick off the grand opening of the hotel. We got to
And
be
the
a
Ivy
part
Ballroom.
of the Ivy Ballroom when they rebuilt the stage and moved it to the lawn. We got to open that up. And then even like large scale events, such as all the Seven Peaks and then the Billy Strings festivals. We were really fortunate to have that friendship with the Selby family because their vision of bringing quality music to Chaffee County was right in line with what I was doing, and it sort of created this buzz. And then there was a moment, too, where Camp Out for the Cause happened at the Meadows, and I remember just saying to myself, wow,
That one.
if this was where I lived, I wouldn't have to go to the airport tomorrow morning. And
I mean,
and that sort of
festival kinda
resonated
made us
with
want
me.
to move here, you know.
So wait, you were already together? No.
Well,
We were
this was sort of ramping up.
dating.
Then we met, and once I fell in love with Robin, and I was in Texas, I was like, well, this has to change as quickly as possible. And then we moved to BV shortly thereafter.
Yeah, Coleman to here first, and South
I
Main.
rented a little cabin for a few months.
While we
Cool.
were waiting
So
for the
Colorado.
South Main location to be ready to be lived in. It was
So you lived there too? in South Bend.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, it
our
was
original location in South Main was both the studio and our living
our
space.
home. It was divided by a curtain. It was 4 years of this hilarious and also
Basically
like,
being on top of each
it
other.
was like living in a fishbowl, because it was one of my favorite boutiques when I would come visit. It was called Made. Do you remember that in South Main? It's now a beautiful jewelry store. It's
Yeah.
Forsyth Designs. Anyway, it's a commercial space. It's really not to be lived in. But Jed and Andre and that team down there knew for us to be able to financially move the school and actually do it, we needed to combine the live work.
So he was supportive
space.
at school and the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Well, they had
Nice.
to put a shower. I mean, it was a store, so they had to make it livable. So they put a shower in.
Did you
and
rent or buy? Or?
We
rented
rented
it.
that
Okay.
until
Yeah.
we were
we
able
did
to
it for
purchase a
4
place.
years. And recently we had this like epiphany. We were like, man, I cannot believe that, Andre and Alex, they were our landlords and lived above us, that they allowed us to move a music school there for like so many years, because they lived upstairs.
Wow.
And while many of the musicians Coleman teaches, it's beautiful. Some are just learning the violin for the
Hey,
first
look,
time.
even when
squeaky
I'm
violin.
let me tell you what, no shade on anyone. I've been hard working at the violin my entire life. And there's certain things that when I start them, they don't sound good.
Sure.
Practice is a raw experience, and that's why, one of the things that we try and do is cultivate that, and it took a lot of patience on Robin's end on the other side of that curtain.
Living on the
I
other
know.
side of the curtain, but it was perfect. We wouldn't change it for the world. It was an awesome chapter to be down in South Maine and just kind of growing the school organically and building community. And, then we had the opportunity to buy our space. And so now we're not far from South Maine. We're downtown. We're kind of right in between.
One block off Maine.
So we were able to,
elementary.
We went from one room operation to two. So we have two different classrooms now, and we live on the property.
BV location.
At our BV location, yeah. So it's all one property. We live on one side, and our schools and our classrooms are on the other.
Yeah,
so.
having that anonymity or I guess autonomy is what I'm saying. What I want to
we don't live in the school anymore. We just live next door to the
even though like
Baby steps.
it was cute and endearing when we were in South Maine. I did. When you're practicing, it's a raw experience. You don't necessarily want people to hear you in the practice. So I feel as though having that sanctuary space to practice and is giving me such joy.
It was a game changer to be able to purchase something first of all, and then expand our school. I think we took about a dozen people off the wait list. So it was a really awesome domino effect.
Well, to me, it's the classic artist life.
Yeah.
Where you struggle for a bit and then you
Felt
work
like gypsies,
hard.
yeah.
Bootstrap that.
Gypsy and live with your.
And just
this
doing
is
the
a mini
hustle.
studio in my house too.
Yeah.
You do what you.
You do,
Yeah,
and
but
as
through
an,
joy,
as an entrepreneur, and I've had a couple of acquisitions under my belt of companies that I've started and sold. It's you learn a little bit each time you do that, but if you can grow your business while also, I've always just kind of had wearing another hat, so I don't strap my business, I guess, basically. So, we maybe could have gotten a loan and not bootstrapped and gotten a bigger space sooner, and not done that hustle and that grind for 4 years where we were living in the music school. Yeah. But I think the way that we did it, bootstrapping, was great. We didn't put a lot of pressure on Coletrain. Financially, it was a good decision while we built and saved so that we could buy the house.
For me, one of the things that's helped me see the communal aspect of Coletrain and its ability to grow is we do an annual workshop, and we call it the Coletrain Music Academy CMA workshop, and it's a week-long intensive.
Camp Coletrain.
Camp Coletrain. And each year we're about to launch, is it the 9th year coming up or 10th
we
year
just
coming
wrapped.
up?
We just wrapped the 8th annual Camp Coletrain. It's our flagship week-long camp that we do in BV.
Wow.
Each year that we've done it, I've seen the community support grow, as well as how that vibe extends to first-time students and keeps everybody coming back for that sort of feeling of coming together. And it's amazing. It's been an amazing journey for me to watch it start as a very small, intimate, almost one-on-one sort of classroom thing to now. This year we sold out the mini music makers. We have a early childhood development class that sold out in record time. We have a children's class that sold out in record time. We have a songwriting class that was full. We had a vocal harmonization class that was about full. And then each instrument is just, the student body has been growing. So I can see the power and impact of all of the marketing and the community building that we've done on that end, plus the hard work of the students coming together for the community, because the CMA Camp Coletrain wraps up with a student performance that is open to the public. And to see the joy on both the audience members and the participants, it's
pretty
really
magical.
just
it's a labor of love. It's a ton of work to put on a music camp. I just accepted another exciting role. I'm a fractional CMO for True North. They're a 3D printing development company here. They brought me on to help launch a new project in Salida called Cleora. So I'll be working on that as well. So I just started that role. And so it is a dream. And again, each of those pieces, Coletrain, True North with Cleora, and then the EDC with the Ascent Accelerator, it's all rooted in community, which is just, it's
Well, not only is
so
Robin
purpose-driven.
expanding her roles here in Salida, so is Coletrain. We actually have a newer location. We have the 2 classrooms in BV, but last year we opened up a brick and mortar location here in Salida. We had a lot of families on the other side of Salida towards Howard and beyond that it was just a little bit too far to travel. And over the past couple of years, we've expanded our roster of teachers too. So we not only have the 2 classrooms in BV, but we also have a presence here in Salida.
Where is
and
that?
we're very
It's
stoked.
on
Right
over on
off Highway
Blake.
50.
It's right by the Boys and Girls Club, which is awesome because we just formed a
there.
little partnership with them for our Bonnie Culpepper Scholarship.
Yeah.
It's really kind of kismet. We landed there and realized that they were a street over. We're sharing a space with a local violin builder. It's awesome. We've wanted to come to Salida for, since we got here, since we got to BV, we've wanted to do this. But we just had to wait until we grew our team. We
Very
had
smart.
to wait till we had the manpower, and now we have these awesome teachers that also live in Salida, and they work with us full time.
And they were just here. Were they just here? It's amazing how much music is here.
Yeah, it is. It is
All around.
Some
beautiful.
of them have moved here, and some of them.
Some relocated.
It's funny going back. One of the things that was crazy in the past 5 years, of course, was the whole COVID scenario, and there were a lot of musicians that maybe were forced into other areas of profession. But one of the things that was amazing for Coletrain is we were able to survive COVID pretty unscathed, pretty much unscathed, but also we doubled our teacher staff during COVID. So
Yeah,
that felt
Coletrain-
good that we were able to expand and bring more teachers in.
Did they
during
teach online or did they just
Well, when
one-on-one?
COVID hit and we expanded, I would say Coletrain tripled in size during COVID.
Yeah,
because
we went 100% online
And we
for the
already-
better part of a year.
we already were online. Coleman was teaching. He had some students in France that he taught virtually in Texas, and so thankfully we already had a virtual program.
It didn't feel like we were scrambling.
Right,
We
like
were
a
like,
lot of
oh,
other
We just
businesses
gave,
that didn't
we
know.
just gave all of our local students the option to just roll over onto online, and they all did. I assumed we would lose some of the itty bitties and maybe some of the older
Senior.
students, but
Oh, right.
everybody did
Everybody.
it, and then some, and then some. So there was a lot of people then that were like, well, gosh, now I'm working from home, and now
Yeah.
I can
I
do
have a little bit more
lessons.
time
Yeah.
to
that's where
fulfill
COVID
a
was
passion
kind of
project.
nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say if you're looking for silver linings, for us, it was we were able to build our community more, and then that's when we launched our e-lessons.
Yeah,
We never had
okay.
time before because Coleman is performing on the weekends,
Okay,
but all of a sudden he was home. There was no
Right.
performance for like 2
use-
years.
But use the time.
So
You've
we
rocked it, yeah.
we now have a beautiful studio partner, and we a very kind of pro operation. But in the beginning, remember, I'd stand on the desk and I'm like filming you with my
There's
phone.
been a lot of
and
development in the past 8 years, that is for
it
sure.
was,
I do
humble
remember.
beginnings. Yeah, so it was a silver lining that we had a little time and space to develop this platform that we'd always wanted to do and just
Yeah.
didn't have time. Yeah.
Neat. Very cool. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to turn it back over to
Oh,
you.
okay.
I'm sure you have questions on your list.
I
you'd
mean,
like
but I
to
love
get
that
to.
we're just flowing and,
Before we venture too far from
know.
Camp Coletrain, since
Yeah.
we were just talking
Yeah.
about that while we're in that
Yeah.
lane, I wanted to just share that today, actually, we got our official certificate, 501c3.
Ooh, that's a great
certificate
accomplishment.
for Camp Coletrain. Coletrain Music Academy is still a private entity, but Camp Coletrain has just grown so much, and we have started doing more scholarships each year, and I got some advice from some mentors and just really kind of have been looking into this route for quite some time, and we just realized this was the perfect opportunity to make that a 501c3, which will allow us to do more scholarships for more students. It'll allow more local businesses to contribute that want to be involved, but really need to be careful with how they're donating and all of that sort of thing. So we do these pop-up camps as well at different festivals.
That's what I was just about to segue
It'll
into.
make it, it'll make it easier for those festivals to bring us on. And Yeah, so that happened this morning.
Oh, congratulations. What a big day for you guys.
Yeah,
So much going on.
We were getting in the car and we got the notification that it was all complete.
We were headed over to your place, Jill.
So I thought,
neat.
wow, what a cool day. We're doing we have two firsts. We've our first couples podcast. We've done them individually, but never together. And then we have a nonprofit.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a good way to go, I think, especially for donations and things like that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we love to give back, like Robin just said, is the scholarship. Very important for us to serve the community to the best ability. And we feel like moving the Camp Coletrain part of things into the nonprofit will allow us to help more people achieve their goals and aspirations at learning music.
Cast a wider net, probably make a deeper impact. I've worked in nonprofit, but I've never had one, and there's a lot more into it. But we have an incredible community. I mean, there's nothing that we really have done that we just really did by ourselves. We have been championed since we got here, have a really awesome community. We talked about Yonder a minute ago. I mean, it takes a village to get Coleman on those planes, It's a village because, he teaches Monday through Wednesday. He's in the studio teaching Monday through Wednesday. Thursday's a travel day. Friday perform, Saturday perform, Sunday travel, Monday back in the studio teaching.
I just got lucky today that he wasn't somewhere else.
This is my first weekend off.
I think
basically
it's not
all
really
year.
off, but oh my goodness.
Yeah. We think
this
it was
feels like a weekend off. If I'm not jumping on a plane and I'm waking up, I open the curtains and I see the 14,000-foot mountains, and I'm just like,
home sweet home.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but we have an awesome community of teachers that fill in and sub, and then pet sitters that help with that sort of thing, and then just getting him to and from the airport. It takes
So
takes a village.
Yonder is often out of Colorado.
Predominantly. It's funny, I say that, but just this week we played the Botanic Gardens in Denver. That was a sold-out show.
Stunning.
One of the coolest experiences
With Big Richard.
I've had musically.
With Big Richard. Big Richard played, and then Yonder.
Yep, they were the opening act, and then we did a mega jam at the end that was to die for. But actually, we have another concert, a doubleheader coming up
Weekend at iBar.
At the iBar Ranch in Gunnison.
That's where I usually see Yonder.
You can come check us out there. But yeah, we do about 100, around 100
2-night run.
plus fly dates a year, which is a full-time job.
Yes, it is. All over? Just
all over the U.S.,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, that band has been in the popular eye for the past 27 years, and they have a very faithful following of wonderful fans, and I've gotten to play some of the most incredible stages and venues that you could ever hope to be at with this outfit. And the cool thing about it, where Yonder is right now, they're not just settling. They're very committed to creating new content and new music. About 2.5 years ago, when I started playing with them, they were in the process of recording an album and brought me in on the last album, which is called Nowhere Next. So you can hear me play with Yonder on that album on all the social media streaming platforms. But we are currently getting ready to go back in the studio and record a new album. So even though they're one of the most storied jam bands in all of bluegrass music, they're not just riding the wave of yesteryear. They do such a wonderful job of creating a fresh musical environment and a creative environment, and again, another community based within music and professionalism. I couldn't be more honored to have joined them and get to call everybody in that band my friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and they kind of recruited you, right?
Well,
If I heard,
in my opinion, I still don't know why they chose me, but they were working with the venerable who's who of fiddlers, and for whatever reason, they asked me to join them.
I think it was another
I was in a point where I could
It
say
was
yes.
another kismet thing. It was, timing is everything. And I don't know that Coleman could have said yes before it actually came to fruition. So, and as we said, it's definitely not easy, but it's worth it because he's having, what do you say? It's been like the most musically challenging, like.
Well, walking into that outfit as a newer member, I did have a learning curve. You know,
Okay.
there are hundreds of songs in their playlist.
But Coleman's a forever student, so he always
So,
wants to be
you know,
learning.
that's one thing I like to tell my students is, you know, I've been playing music for almost 40 years and I consider myself beginner. Walking into that was a challenge because it's a vast catalog of very popular music, and they have a diehard fan base that, you know, wants the band to sound like Yonder. And
Right.
so it was a big challenge learning, but a welcome challenge because, you know, getting to know the music on a personal level at the same time as getting to know the band members really felt like a coming together of what I was trying to bring to the band, but also honoring the history
Their
of the
legacy
band.
and
Yeah, the
everything.
legacy
Yeah.
of the band.
I mean, Coleman's out there in the music studio before
Ooh, it was a lot of...
before teaching. And we were doing a lot of travel with this other band for a while, the Bluegrass Journeymen.
Yep, we're
And
doing a lot of
Oh, right,
international
yes.
travel,
No,
and
that's-
educational work.
He would
Huge
be
thing.
out in the studio early morning before a full day of teaching, just like learning as many Yonder tunes
Right.
as they've sent, so he could be ready for whatever show he said yes to that upcoming weekend. So they're also a really awesome group of humans.
Yeah,
So even though we're blurry-eyed and sometimes don't know what day it is, it's definitely worth it because they're awesome.
When you have the passion there, you push through. I mean, when I'm
That's
doing
right.
this, when I started this, I didn't know how to do any of it. I can't believe I'm a little
Well, your
older than
setup
you.
is
It was-
And
beautiful.
look at you now, Mama Jill. This is a sweet setup.
Thank you. But I also wanted to say, you know, and of course I'm a big fan, and I come up to you and go, "Are you his wife? I just love him. He's so cool and wonderful." And
And I'm like, yes, welcome to the fan club.
right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't love everybody. You know, you're special, Coleman. You just are. I mean, the first time I saw Rapid Grass and you played and you paused to do a classical bit,
Was that
Oh,
in
like a
Idaho?
little
Was that in Idaho
cadenza or
Springs?
something.
I don't remember,
Okay.
but I got those chills and I'm like, you know, that knowledge of the classical
Your background.
learning, you know, I never think of it until somebody pulls something out. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I remember playing it as a
Yeah.
kid.
Well, yeah, I think
yeah.
that's one of the things that has helped me create a sound on my instrument
Yeah.
is my upbringing wasn't unidimensional. It was very broad reaching. I had classical mentors that were doctorates that had been, you know, performing in front of orchestras for 40 plus years that played on Strads and Guarneris and things like that. But I also had fiddle teachers that, you know, to me were just old timers, but I basically grew up surrounded by all the recording artists of the 40s, 50s, and 60s
Well, I saw-
within
yeah.
like the
I saw
country
those
and
pictures on your
western
website.
swing
Yeah, his
sort
mom
of
gave me
genre.
this.
So, you know, me being a naive young boy, I thought everybody got to play with these fantastic
Right,
musicians,
that was your
and
norm.
I thought everybody's parents took them to a classical concert and all this
Right?
stuff, you know. But
Yeah,
that's just not the norm, and I'm very
not.
fortunate to have that background. But it helped me figure out the style and sort of the progression that I wanted my instrument to blossom into. And that way, you know, I've never been a copycat, like an impersonator. You know, some people like to sing like Elvis and dress like Elvis, and that's great.
Yeah.
I never really wanted to play just like one fiddle player or one violinist. It's that sort of melting pot of all those
Yeah.
styles coming together that excites me as a
Yeah.
musician.
Well, and-
and
okay,
I
so
hope
that
it comes
comes through, too.
Well, at hearing it from
mean-
you makes me
Yeah.
a little goosebumpy over here
Good.
because that's literally what my goal is to be sort of that moment for whoever it needs to be. Oh, that's a classical moment. That's great. Okay, I connect with that. Oh, that's a fiddle moment. That's great. I connect with that. Oh, that's a little swingy,
Or maybe
jazzy.
it's indefinable,
Yeah.
you know, but,
But
it's
I
just
know what
fabulous.
you mean when
Yeah.
he sometimes I call it like fifth dimension when he goes to this like fifth dimension place on stage. But sometimes, yeah, it's the fusion when you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden he's like doing something classical in the middle of some like jam fiddle shred or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I know
it's-
what you mean.
It's unexpected and it's wonderful and magical. That magic.
Jill,
And
thank
just
you.
like moving.
Well, and I want to keep where I put my. I was trying to pay attention to the time because you don't have much time left. So I just want to throw out. Maybe we'll do a part 2 someday when you have all this
Certainly.
leisure time that you're not going to have. But the international traveling and the fact that music like much of art can be a language of its own and a connection.
Absolutely.
The communal feeling you get when you play with others.
You know, many years ago, probably close to 18 years ago, I started traveling internationally with the band Hickory Project that I mentioned earlier. And it was a really cool gig because my first experience in Europe was headlining Europe's largest bluegrass festival, as well as teaching the fiddle workshop. And that went on and on and on for, well, I guess this year was La Roche Bluegrass Festival's 20th celebration. So almost for the past 20 years, but about 15 years I've been going over. And so in the classroom there, you know, since the countries are so much smaller, in one classroom I would have 5 different or 6 different countries represented. So there was a massive language barrier.
Yeah.
And of course, that festival does an excellent job of supplying interpreters and all that. But you're right, music is the universal language. And if you have a passion for it, we can find ways of learning. And my international tours started out as an educator, but recently it's been more of a blending of both being an educator and a student. I believe Robin mentioned earlier some of the latest international travel has been with a group called the Bluegrass Journeymen. We've done several tours to India. We did a tour to Nepal, and they've been back since. And we did a tour in Bali. Yeah. And all of those tours were basically a building of bridges between cross-cultural connections through music, through folk music especially. So we had to do a lot of studying on their folk melodies.
Okay.
So it's been a humbling journey doing all this sort of international travel.
But that'll just probably feed into your repertoire of...
Well, it shapes who we are as musicians.
And one of the things with Camp Coletrain that we needed the 501c3 for was to explore some exchange programs possibly with these schools that we've established relationships with in Nepal and other places. Yeah, we're hoping some of our students get to go over there and some of their students get to come here. I know it's kind of a pipe dream, but we're planting seeds.
Very soulful. That's why you're on here.
Well,
you
thank
know, I just already knew you guys were soulful Coloradoans.
Oh, thanks, Jill.
Yeah. Well, do you have to go?
We are going to go over to the Velveteen, our first rock session. We launched this program called Coletrain Rock Sessions, and it's our kids that are on electric instruments.
We have 2 new programs we're launching this year at Coletrain Music Academy. One is our rock sessions led by Zach Koheta and
Zach Koheta and Brandon Katz. Zach is the drummer for Leadville Cherokee and
airing of grievances, and I believe he plays a lot in church groups as well in the area.
He's an incredible educator. Brandon Katz as well.
Exceptional drummer, and Brandon is
and they're
amazing.
Just cool dudes. So they're leading this program of 12 to 17 years old, and we have a fall semester starting soon as well. But they're doing their rock ensemble concert showcase tomorrow. So today's the last rehearsal day, and we've partnered with the Velveteen on it.
And later on this month, we are kicking back up. We started it at the end of the last school semester, but we're kicking up our Chaffee County string ensemble, and that starts out on Mondays, I believe.
August
the 1st
25th.
August, is the first date. It's the last Monday of the month, and that'll be working with violin, viola, cello, and bass. Room is limited. We're going to hold it to 10 spots for the first semester, but with the hopes of expanding it in the future.
We'll grow it, but
it's going to be based
Coleman will be
in
leading
classical, jazz, pop elements. We'll be doing performances both in classical and popular music, so we'll be pulling repertoire orchestral pieces from famous pop bands, artists, and movies, and things like that. So it's going to be a really fun getting together for kids to showcase what it sounds like to play this music as a group and not just as individuals.
Oh, yeah.
And the Rock Academy, the rock sessions, they're going to be showcasing Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Sublime, Green Day. It's like the
Awesome.
songs of my youth.
Right?
So I'm
90s.
excited to hear
Well,
those buddies
I couldn't be
tomorrow.
more excited because being a musician sort of means knowing your limits. And I'm definitely old school. I don't know many people other than a lot of my students, which is crazy. But I like older styles of music.
Yeah.
So my expertise is very specific in that realm musically. So having these other highly qualified and decorated teachers that expand the styles of music that we're able to offer, and watching some of my students really excel at both sides of it, the
Okay.
acoustic side and now this brand new rock side that we're able to create. It's a vibe that gives me a lot of pride that we're able to expand to different genres that are
almost
beyond
like-
what I'm capable
Yeah,
of.
but also that model that you grew up with of there's not just one way, one
That's
kind
right.
of music or one
No.
way to learn it.
That's right.
Which I always love when there's more than one way.
We want students, we want them to come and just, what are you wanting to achieve? Maybe you just want to learn certain songs, you can do that. Or maybe
So-
you want to get really, deeper into it.
I got to say, you're exactly what I was looking for when my kid was 3. My mother bought him this tiny little Suzuki, I think it's called, violin.
Precious.
I'm a Suzuki child.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was, but we tried lessons. They just weren't 3-year-old friendly. He couldn't read music yet.
Has come
I
a long
thought
way
that.
in the last 40 years,
Yeah.
but definitely it's funny because I attract a certain style of student that
Yeah, it's
that
not-
is very serious, you know. and-
They
and
are
that's-
serious, or
They are. I would say
Yeah.
all of Coleman's 3-year-olds that start, they're very serious. They are like him. They were like he
They
was
were
at
like him.
3.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's not. He's not for everyone. Every 3-year-old. But we
Yeah.
did just launch this mini music maker class.
Yeah.
It starts in Salida September 5th at this really adorable space we're renting called Juniper. And it's for 3 to
Oh,
6-year-olds.
I know. Yeah, with
it'll be group.
Adrian.
Yes, with Adrian.
Yeah.
It'll be a group lesson of 3 to 6-year-olds. Basically, what we just did at Camp Coletrain,
Yeah.
we're going to do in the fall because it went really well with kids just
It was
learning
amazing.
learning instruments together and jamming together. And it'll be led by
and
our
learning
new
mindfulness
teacher,
together. It
Julia
was
Flanagan.
terrific.
mindfulness.
Yeah, a little
Wow.
mindfulness.
Imagine that.
Some grown-ups don't have that.
Hey,
We're
for you.
partnering with this amazing organization in Crested
Crested
Butte, led by Jessica Knoll, and she
the
has
mindful toolbox.
she has a business called the Mindful Toolbox. I met her through the Ascent Accelerator.
Okay.
And she has this amazing business, and we collaborated at Camp Coletrain. And so she's going to come do some guest teaching with us with Julia Flanagan at our mini music maker class.
So she works with children also.
She does, and she
Okay.
teaches mindfulness. And these are tools that I'm learning now as an adult. And gosh, if I would have learned these at that age, what it can do for you in your life in so many different
Well,
areas,
I think,
it's really cool.
one of my abilities to be successful as a musician, besides working very hard at my craft, mind you, I'm not the best at what I do, but I always try and have that sort of mindful approach to playing music, because you can't have an ego in this sort of industry. Sort of kills the passion of it, right? So instilling that into future generations of hardworking musicians is only going to procure quality music and a passion that is going to just keep generations and generations
When the ego's not in the
engraved.
way, that's when you can connect
Oh,
with
yeah.
other people.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right. And so Coleman is a huge, he's
That's
really
why
into
I
meditating
was in a
and
room with
yoga.
older folks. And going back to some of your questions, what was it like to grow up with sort of in several generations older as mentors? It means it was mindfulness on their part. The ability for somebody that had been at the top of their game to allow a young kid that really didn't know how to play that much. And I remember sitting in a circle of 15 of some of the most amazing musicians, like all of the surviving Texas Playboys and Light Christo Boys and members of Willie Nelson's band and all these legendary musicians. When the circle would get towards me, they'd be like, all right, take a solo. I wouldn't know what I was doing, but that was their way of being mindful and welcoming me into the community. And that's sort of what we want to do here for the future generations is open that perception that it should be a welcoming, wholesome environment, Yeah, it's
So
really
we're
cool
starting
to
at 3,
to
starting them at
Yeah.
3
I
years
think
old.
that's fair. I mean, that was,
It was
the
so
main
sweet at
age I
camp this
taught,
year.
and I know what they're capable of, and they can certainly start a lot of neat things then. So, were you nervous when you'd play there, or was that just kind of part of what you were doing, and it became a
You
norm?
know, I think early on there may have been some nerves, but I'm telling you, just the shared passion for the arts
Okay.
that this older generation wanted to see passed down, it relinquished any feeling of nerves or intimidation that I may have had and turned it into like the thing that I wanted to do
Oh, yeah.
most. Nobody had to tell me to practice, but the reason why nobody had to tell me to practice as a child is because I had that community experience at the same time. So the practice allowed me to get back into
kinda
the jam session. The
It's a
jam
good-
session allowed me to get on stage, and then the notoriety and the
Which
feeling.
you had as a kid.
Oh yeah, I started performing very early.
Knowing those well-known guys, was that through your uncle, or how did you connect
No,
with
that
all
was
of them?
just through the scene. It was kind of cool growing up in Texas because there's a fiddle culture.
Yes.
And in the Dallas Fort Worth area, there was the classical Suzuki-based
Right.
education, and there was also Western swing.
Oh, yeah.
There were also fiddle contests. So it was sort of being a part of all of those scenes. Like I did a lot of competition, which led me to festivals because there'd be a competition at a festival. And then from being at the competition at the festival, I met other musicians, and it
Okay.
was sort of this
Kind of
Organic.
small world.
a train that sort of started rolling down the tracks and hasn't stopped since.
Okay.
It's a good muscle to flex in the jam circles because I'm a ukulele student myself, and
Oh,
getting in
okay.
jams is still, it's outside my comfort zone. I'm
Yeah.
always a little nervous when we do them at the Lariat in the winter slower months. We do them on Sundays, and we could have a 10-year-old sitting next to a teen next to a 70-year-old.
Which I love.
It's
Yeah,
great,
no.
and the thing we have in common is just playing music. And I'll feel a little nervous. It'll come to me, and Coleman's like, "Okay, Robin, what tune are you going to call?" And I'm nervous, but the 10-year-old next to me just called their tune, and they let it. So it's inspiring. It's inspiring, and then it makes me want to practice. Okay, I want to learn this song, and then it's a really inspiring place to be. I think it's a good way to flex the muscle if you want to get into performance and
Sure.
you want to play
Absolutely.
in a public
Yeah.
setting.
Well, it's the perfect proving ground for all your personal hard work, and I try and instill that into our student base. Don't be selfish with your hard work. When if you're passionate about music, get to a point
Share
where
it.
you're comfortable enough to want to share it, and that's what we also want to have that
Tell my
avenue.
husband that.
And just as we're wrapping it up, I just
Yeah.
want to extend an invitation to just community that, we're living in kind of a scary time right now. And for me, music is medicine. I have to go to as much live music as possible. Luckily, I'm just immersed in it because I live, next
you
to a
have
music
to go.
school.
You have
and,
to go.
And it's
By
We're so lucky.
proximity.
I think it's a very healthy way for people to come together and to focus on something creative and
Joyful.
Yeah,
Positive
so
at the
come
same time.
Positive.
check out our website. I'll be listing our upcoming jams as we start to
Okay.
organize those with Zach, and those are free, and I typically have a teacher there to lead them, so it's kind of like a mini group lesson. If you don't feel comfortable in a jam, you'll still feel okay at it, because even though there's going to be pros in the circle, there'll be an instructor there to kind of help guide. And
So anybody can sign up to be a part of the.
Yeah.
you can just drop
Okay.
into our jams. Yeah,
I will
when we
also
do this.
say, please follow us on all the social media
Yeah.
platforms, because Coletrain Music Academy does an excellent job of promoting any event that we're a part of, large or small, whether it's a workshop or a pop-up workshop at a festival. But we also
and Small Town is coming
and
up.
Small,
Small Town
that's
for
what I was
Cause.
about to say.
Our next
Small
one.
Town
Yes.
for the Cause is our next event that we have coming up, and that'll be a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with you out there. If we haven't met you guys and some of your listeners in person, and you want to find out more about what we do here at Coletrain Music Academy, you can come find us at Small Town for the Cause here in Salida.
And I will put links on my website, which someday I'll
I'll
have
share
you look
some
at
with
it.
you,
'cause
too.
It's patched together
Oh,
by
I would-
me.
I would love to help
It's
you with that.
functional, but it's not fabulous
That would
like
be
yours.
my pleasure.
And I'm just going to say, I've more and more noticed your VW van. And when I gave you my card at River Runners, I was looking at it, and I don't know if anybody else has said this, but it looks like a a toasted marshmallow.
It does, doesn't
It
it?
just gives me this cozy
We
feeling.
left it patina.
And
Yeah.
Campfire. Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
so
it'll
cool.
never change. That's part of the brand.
It's our
now.
tour bus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's our fun tour bus. Yeah,
It's our home away from home.
Yeah. No.
people can spot us pretty easily.
Yeah,
driving around in
it's
that.
funny. I get a lot of DMs. Oh, I just passed you on 285.
Right?
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw you in Denver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Far
it's
away. Yeah.
1972 vintage
It's
bus that we worked with Eurobus on.
Yeah, I was about to say huge shout out to Johnny
Johnny.
Eurobus
Johnny,
here
that's
in BV for getting that bus
Keeping
to
us
where
safe
it's at.
on the road. Yeah.
Did he do the patina?
No, that was done by the Texas Sun. That was actually my father's bus. Yeah, that lived in the pasture. Actually, I can remember. I think we were going to karate or kung fu class when I was a kid, and
You
it
did
broke
that
down.
too.
Well, everybody does a
Yeah.
lot of things, but I remember it breaking down.
Yeah,
and then getting
they do.
parked. And when we moved here, and we saw that Eurobus, and what they specialize in, besides working on VWs of all kinds, they do the Subaru conversion for the VW bus. So. Mind you, if you see us on the road, we won't be doing 45 miles over the
goes
pass.
fast.
We'll be doing 65 miles over the pass. Thank you, John Bushman, for
People
making
always
us
wanna
not
pass
slow
us.
anymore.
Yeah.
And but yeah.
People always want to. They see our vehicle and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be slow," and they want to go around us. But it goes really fast.
Okay.
It gets it.
Coleman's like, I can't be that guy trying to get over the pass and slowing everybody down. So it's
Especially with the brand on the side. I didn't want
Right.
that. Coletrain again.
yeah, it's got a lot of get up and go. So
Neat.
you'll see us out there doing our tours, our little festival
Yeah,
tours.
we have one more on the books this year after Small Town for the Cause here in Salida. We're doing the Moab Folk Fest.
Wow.
In
We're doing
November.
another pop-up concert, and that's kind of a twofer. I'm really excited for that one. Not only is Coletrain going to be there, but Yonder is
Yonder's
also
headlining.
headlining.
At
So
Moab.
it's sort of a double-header weekend for us, and we're really looking
And when
forward
is that
to that.
again?
Moab Folk Fest is November. It's the first
Oh,
weekend.
November, yeah.
It's the first weekend in November, and Yonder's headlining. I want to say Big Richard maybe is there. I need to look at the lineup, but it's going to
It's
be a
gonna be
beautiful
great.
weekend. We're
So
excited.
I don't think you know my friends by name, but we all kind of travel in a pack to go see music. We call ourselves John Blood is kind of part of our. You know
Oh
John
yeah,
Blood, right?
yeah.
Johnny B.
Oh my
Shout out
gosh,
to
one of
Johnny B.
my
He's one of my favorite
dearest
dance partners.
friends. in
Right?
this
Oh, he
area.
loves you.
Oh, if he's up front dancing, it just gives me all the courage to get up there and go dance with him.
I
So-
saw him dancing here years ago when I was just visiting. And then when I met him, I'm like, I know you.
And he
Whenever
was
I
my
have a
Bonnie's soul
concert in
friend.
this
Yes.
area, I get excited because I know I'm going to see John Blood.
He's famous.
So I know.
So he's in your group.
Well, we call it the Salida Music Family.
Aw.
And actually, this is embarrassing, and I know you have to go. You played last year at Levitt Pavilion,
Oh yeah.
and I knew you were gonna be there, and I made this sign. It's out there in the hallway, and I was in the middle of songs. I hung it up, and I said, "Coleman."
I remember
love you."
seeing that.
you
That
do?
is, oh yeah, I do. I definitely remember seeing that. The guys were like, "You had a super fan out there, didn't you?" I'm like, "I guess I did."
I was there with our Salida
Oh,
family.
well,
Yeah.
that
That
is
makes my
so
heart so happy.
sweet,
I missed
Jill.
that show. But that
Well,
makes
we'll
my
have
heart
to dust that sign off
yeah,
for
that's why it's
Gunnison
still there.
for the 2-night
Well, we're
run
signing
coming
up.
up at Gunnison.
We're
Tell
Looking
signing up.
forward to
tell
that.
your Salida crew.
I will.
We'll all be there.
Absolutely.
Catch the van there too.
Right.
Actually,
That's
there
just
might be a
so fun.
whole bus community going to
There
that one.
sometimes is, yeah. Camping out,
Oh, yeah.
We've got a little canned ham that we.
Oh,
bring down.
nice! The little
Yeah,
pull behind
76.
trailer. Oh,
It's such a cool
72,
vibe out there.
76.
Wood
Let's park
paneling.
together.
For sure. We'll look for you guys.
All right. Well, Jill, this
awesome.
has been such a
It's so
wildly
fun.
experience.
This is the best
and
anniversary
so
ever.
warm
Oh,
and
thank
welcoming.
you.
I am very honored that you came here on your special day,
pleasure.
and when you have so much to do.
Well, maybe we'll have to come back and
Yeah.
tell you how it all went
we'll
down.
have a follow up or something, and there's so many things to talk about. So, well, have a lovely day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Hopefully, we'll see you at the rock concert tomorrow. Coltrane Rock Sessions.
Yeah,
if
we'll
you
talk
come by
about
there.
that and keep doing the good work, you
Thank you,
guys.
Jill.
I really
Our pleasure. Thank
Love
you.
what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay,
We'll
see you, Mama
later.
Jill.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye bye.